All right, good morning Nigeria, good morning Ibadan, and a warm welcome to our viewers watching from across Africa and around the globe. This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. I am Oluwayemi Adelakun.
I am Samson Balogun. You are already, as you already know, what time it is in the ancient city of Ibadan. It is Tuesday, the 24th of June 2025, and we are live from the earth of Ibadan to brighten your morning and get you informed and serve you the freshest gist, news and insights to power your day.
Exactly, and whether you're getting ready for work, school runs, or you're just cozy under the covers, sipping that early morning tea or pap, this is the place to be.
All right, now, Yemi, the weather is in Ibadan. It's a little bit chilly this morning, and of course, you expect something like maybe rainstorm later in the day, but of course, it is still.
I think you look prepared.
Well, of course, I look prepared, and it looks like the city is slowly waking up to the energy.
Exactly.
The markets are buzzing, traffic is building, and yes, house agents are still house agents in Ibadan, as you know.
Exactly, and that's one story we'll be diving into today: the excesses and questionable practices of real estate agents in Ibadan. We are talking exorbitant agency fees, deceitful listings, and those mysterious inspection charges that come out of nowhere.
Trust me, if you have ever looked for an apartment in Ibadan, you will know this struggle is not just yours alone. It's almost something people get to experience every day. And today on the show, we'll be having none other than Oladipo Abiodun Hakim, a real estate developer, who will join us in the studio right here and talk about this trending issue. Exactly,
it's bringing real stories and maybe even solutions. So if you've had a funny or frustrating experience with house agents, stay tuned. You want to hear this, you want to talk about this with us.
Honestly, you can follow us on all our social media handles. On Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, it is at Dominion Broadcast. And of course, on X, formerly Twitter, it is at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Now, let's delve straight into the issue of house agents in Ibadan. But then, before we do that will be on the big story. We'll talk about Benue Governor's aide, who was actually suspended, arrested for sextortion. I mean, that's something that has been happening, but then a governor's aide, I mean, that's quite,
Before I actually talk about it, I have a very quick question for you. Do you think if the videos, were not circulated and then the girls, got to know about it, do you think the public would have heard about this in the first instance?
I think many a times, Nigerian girls, they fail to speak up. Because they feel like it's definitely going to affect them. They feel they have been silenced one way. They have been bullied to just keep mute as regards things like that, especially when it has to do with when their pictures and explicit pictures actually happens to be with someone that threatens them with it, and then they become a victim. But eventually, the problem is Nigerians believe too much in let it go. Just leave it to God. But sometimes it is not just like that. You just have to take it up, because that person that you have actually left to God is definitely going to do it to someone else, and then it becomes a trend.
Not questioned.
If not questioned. So it becomes a trend, does it to someone, and that person also keeps quiet, does it to another person, and then just like this case of the governor's aide, not just one person, there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it means that he did it to someone who kept quiet, and they did it to another person. So it became a trend for him, and he couldn't stop. So when they say, when they call a person a serial killer, it's because that person did it once, was not caught, and decided to go ahead and start doing it again. So it's a serial offense for him. He's been doing it because people kept quiet. Now, as a Nigerian, when you say something, you say something. When something happens, regardless of what people will think, yes, sometimes you feel like, this issue of people segregating you, thinking, you are less of a human being because you have had a bad experience, something happened to you. No, it shouldn't be like that. I think the orientation of the people also should change. You don't just marginalize people because you felt, they had a bad experience, and then because of that, you don't want to relate with them anymore. You see them in a different light. No. But the point is, as a being, once you have such an experience, your job as a person is to make sure that no one else falls victim of that kind of thing, and then you report the situation, and then let that person be arrested, and whatever the judgment is, let him face the music.
Okay, I think you're very spot on, and then, it talks about, this person. I don't know whether his office, the power, the connection led him to it, or maybe there have been signs of this even before, he took on that office. But it also tells us that, when you handle a political office, a public office, it's not just about you.
A lot is expected of
anything
you
do can actually affect you. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect the government you're serving. It's going to affect other political, office overs. Because look at this incident now. I have friends who have companies that run, these ushering jobs. When they have events, they gather girls. Don't you think this incident will actually, make a lot of them to become a little bit skeptical before they take ushering jobs? Because, I read it in the news that something like this happened. Issues like that. So, political office overs, or generally, people should actually learn, how to behave well, because whatever you do is not going to affect you alone. It's going to tell on the people. Because look at these girls now. Should these videos circulate everywhere? What do you think their family members or their friends, will say about it?
Actually, the problem now is that sometimes I feel Nigerian girls also should learn how to just be themselves. You do not have to offer yourself for a job. And when you find yourself in that situation, just make sure that some other people do not fall victim of that. And away from that, there are other legitimate, ushering companies who actually, this is what they do.
Exactly,
and
like
they are
companies.
They are
Exactly.
legitimate. So this is definitely going to send fear down the spines of many Nigerian girls when they get to read an advertisement of such job on probably on the pages of the newspaper, on social media.
They want to be
will be
careful
skeptical
because of what they've
actually
seen.
taking up those roles. And for me, that should not be the case. Well, I think this is not the first time you must have come across something like that, when they will just send you a random WhatsApp message. Oh, avoid so-so address in Lagos, avoid so-so address in Ibadan. They are recruiting for Kiniko, but eventually you realize they are doing something different to what they have actually said they are doing.
Of course.
So many times you do not do follow-up on this. Many people just discard these messages, but that is someone's experience being shared. But people don't take note of that. Now, away from all this, I think the law enforcement agencies should also do something really strong about reports they get about fake employment, sham employment that they get to post on social media. See, if you have posted something, someone verifies that, no, this thing is not right, is wrong, and it's actually not genuine.
And we also need to talk about people speaking up. Just like you said, a lot of people actually, they will take it all in. They don't want to, they want to save their faces, just like you said. So if we come out and talk about these things, don't shy about it. A lot of issues that we face as a country is because a lot of persons want to save their faces.
They
don't want to come out, and they don't want people to castigate them in any sort.
Yeah, that's the word. They don't want to be castigated. They don't want to be segregated. They don't want to be treated differently to other people. So they tend to actually bottle it up and just keep it, to themselves. Okay. But all in all, I think security agencies should do more by making sure that if they get this kind of report, they just nip it in the bud before it even happens.
Of course, and we hope that justice is served by the time the investigations are done on this matter.
All right, so we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we are straight to our news desk this morning as Yemi Adelakun will take you through the latest trends on the news. We'll be back after this time out.
Please stay with us. Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. President Bola Tinubu has said that his administration is fulfilling its promise to Nigerians to make Nigeria a global powerhouse in agriculture. Tinubu stated this during the launch of the Renewed Hope Agenda Agricultural Mechanization Program in Abuja. The president also said that the federal government was working with international partners to empower the youth with skills in modern agriculture for financial self-dependence. He explained that his administration's strategy encompassed year-round cultivation, drastically reducing Nigeria's historical vulnerabilities and seasonal shortages. The United States mission in Nigeria has issued a security alert advising American citizens to avoid non-essential travel to military and government facilities in Abuja due to increased global security concerns. The alert released by the U.S. Embassy stated that all embassy personnel and their families are currently prohibited from visiting military sites or other government venues in the Nigerian capital unless for official purposes. This advisory came in the wake of unspecified global developments that have prompted heightened security measures and a re-evaluation of movement around sensitive locations. The Northern Senators Forum has strongly condemned the gruesome killing of innocent passengers in Plateau State. Recall that the incident occurred when unidentified assailant ambushed an 18-seater bus carrying travelers from the Basawa community in Zaria, Kaduna State, to Kanpan local government area of Plateau State. In the statement, chairman of the forum, Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yaradua, extended the forum's condolences to the victims' families over the killings and also called on the Nigeria Police Force to bolster its intelligence gathering capacity to forestall such attacks and ensure the perpetrators are swiftly brought to justice. Representatives Committee on Customs and Excise has ordered the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) to stop collecting the 1% Comprehensive Import Supervision Scheme (CISS) and the 7% cost of collection, declaring them illegal and not backed by any existing law. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Leke Abejide ADC Kogi, issued the directive during a budget defense session with the management of the Customs Service regarding its 2025 proposal. Abejide stated that the only legally recognized funding for the Customs Service is the 4% free on board FOB allocation as stipulated by law. A member of the House of Representatives and Constitutional Review Committee, Honorable Solomon Bob, has stated that constitutional reform is desirable and has become a routine every 4 years in Nigeria, emphasizing its need for comprehensive proposal for constitutional reform. Bob stated this while featuring on Arise Television, also described the creation of additional state as being ridiculous, stressing that the recent constitution framework would make it impossible for Nigeria to have additional state. Recall that the House of Representatives had earlier called on the international community to support Nigeria's ongoing constitutional review process through technical assistance, legislative exchanges, and inter-parliamentary cooperation. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has launched a special performance delivery compact called Legacy Compact to track results and measure deliverables of his administration to the people. The governor will launch the initiative at the Omitutu 2.0 midterm leadership retreat at the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, mandating all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to identify 5 deliverables, each that could be accomplished by 2027. Meanwhile, the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Lanike Adeyemo, explained that the retreat would afford them a sincere introspection with the aim of finishing well and strong. Oyo State Government's policy on assessment and evaluation retreat is usually convened with top government functionaries, political appointees, and permanent secretaries of MDAs to reflect and redefine their perspectives for better governance. The wife of Oyo State Governor Tamunomini Makinde has emphasized that widowhood should not equate to a life sentence of suffering, but a phase that deserves dignity and support. Makinde stated this to commemorate International Widows Day, where she was represented by the Honorable Representing Ogumosho North, Oluranti Michael, lamenting the multifaceted challenges confronting widows, noting that the systemic challenges continue to strip many widows of their rights, rendering them vulnerable and marginalized. At the end of the event, widows from all 33 local government areas of Oyo State received food items and cash support to alleviate their hardships. Away from Oyo State, Chief Security Officer Alda East Local Government in Rivers State, Hector Ekakita, has denied allegations levied against him in regard to the attack on the aforementioned local government administrator. Hector said that he tried calling the police, but all efforts to get through to the security body proved abortive, adding that when he barged in on the attack, he was ordered to leave the scene. He, however, stated that it is unknown to him if the attackers are hoodlums or political appointees. The Academic Board of Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja, has withdrawn 273 students, while another 6 students were expelled over examination malpractices. These decisions were taken when the board considered and approved the first semester result for the 2024-2025 academic session. The Polytechnic Director of the Public Relations and Protocol, Rado Omali, in the statement stated that this was part of the far-reaching decisions at the 120th meeting of the board held at the Polytechnic main campus, Lokoja. In business, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, has announced plans to increase tariffs for all service providers operating at its airports as part of efforts to improve revenue generation. Additionally, the authority will phase out all cash transactions at payment point, moving toward a fully automated and contactless payment system. FAAN disclosed that 92% of its current revenue comes from aeronautical sources, while only 8% is derived from non-aeronautical activities, where non-aeronautical revenue accounts for over 40% in many developed countries. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. That's Daybreak News. I am Oluwayemi Adelakun saying thank you for watching and good morning. All right, thank you for staying with us. It is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. And this segment will take you through the headlines across the dailies. And of course, we discuss, some top stories on the Nigerian Daily. All right, this morning I have with me headlines from different newspapers, starting with the Vanguard. I have this one that says, hunger, poverty, now security threats. That's coming from NSA, CDS. What do you make of this? Hunger and poverty can lead people to actually do some unthinkable things in the country. Okay, moving on to this day, I have this one that says, Tinubu launches 2,000 tractors to drive agricultural revolution. I also have another one that says, Trump announces end to 12-day Israel-Iran war. Honestly, reading that story, over the night, I was thinking actually that I never thought this one could come to an end on the 12 days, looking at some of the activities over, the weeks that have been happening, and then the discussion and the body language of the top, political shorts in Iran and, of course, in Israel, and, of course, the activities of Trump himself in this war. Moving on to this newspaper, Salient Times, I have this one that says, Akeredolu's widow condemns Aiyedatiwa for demolishing Owo massacre memorial. I think we might talk about that this morning. I have this one also that says, ensure release of abducted George Bayelsa, governor direct security commanders. I also have this that says, widows are not property to be inherited. That's coming from CAN chairman. Federal government ramps up revenue generation to 6.9 trillion naira in 2025. That's coming from Edu. I also have this one that says NNPC increases petrol price to 950 naira per litre in Lagos, 945 naira per litre in Abuja. How much are they selling in Ibadan? We might talk about that this morning. U.S. issues security alert, warns citizens to avoid military government facilities in Abuja. No security threat in Abuja. Nigeria replies U.S. What could have led to this? The United States issue a security alert warning our citizens to avoid the military, avoid government facilities in Abuja. Do not have anything to do with some certain places, just to safeguard yourself. What does this speak of this country? Honestly, I would love to discuss that with my analyst this morning, and of course my co-host and person, Samson Balogun, is waiting, but of course I need to read through some of those headlines. I also have this one that says renewed hope agenda yielding results. That's coming from Tinubu. How true is that statement coming from the president of this country? Moving to Delhi Independent, I have this one that says farmers see food prices crashing over removal of roadblocks. That headline asks these writers, to boost mechanized farming, Tinubu unveils 2,000 tractors, vows to make farming attractive to youth and create jobs, pledges to turn rural communities into prosperity hubs. Honestly, agriculture is very lucrative when you have the resources, you have the land, and you have, of course, human power that can help you, to do some of these things on your farm. Moving on to another headline, I have this one that says, don't compromise the integrity of judiciary. CJN warns court administrators. Reps direct customs to hold 7% CISS levy collection. I also have this one that says Shetima apps on informal sector business integration into AFCFTA. Iran says it retaliated against U.S. forces in Iraq. Qatar. Opportunity to create opposition against APC messed up. That's coming from Baba Ahmed. I don't know whether he's speaking concerning this new political party in town, which is ADA, or maybe over existing opposition parties. But he's saying opportunity to create opposition against APC messed up. How true is that? Looking at the body language of some of the members of this new political party and then their experience in politics, are we going to agree with Baba Ahmed to say that this opposition party do not stand a chance come 2027? Of course, we are going to talk about that this morning. Moving on to The Nation, I have this one that talks about, President, Commission's road linking Idu with Zuba Road. Of course, moving on to Nigerian News Direct, I have this one that says, midterm retreat, Makinde unveils performance delivery compact to track result. Of course, he has like 2 years more, before he's done with his, two-term tenure. Reps over custom to suspend 7% import levy by June 30. Sanwo-Olu to commission West Africa's largest safety footwear factory today. I mean, that's a huge one. I also have this one that says poverty, porous borders are national security threat. Of course, to be sincere, I feel like we have a lot of loopholes when it comes to our borders, and of course, weaponized poverty in the country, have led a lot of persons to actually do unthinkable things. I mean, that could harm people around them and even Nigerians as a whole. That headline asks riders, defense chief blames economic hardship for ending terrorism and banditry. But aside from this economic hardship, the porous borders, do we also have other reasons why the issue of terrorism, banditry is increasing by the day? Tinubu government fighting insecurity with agriculture, not just arms. That's coming from Rebadu. That's serious. Fighting insecurity with agriculture and not just arms. I also have this one that says VDM storms Wike's residents, turns front gate to classroom over teacher strike. I actually watched a video online yesterday and I saw VDM dressed, in school uniform, and then he was actually, talking to the student. He was encouraging them, and then there was a protest in front of, Wike's residence yesterday, and then I don't know whether there's going to be a response, to that protest that happened yesterday. But students deserve to be in class, studying. Federal government launches 2,000 tractors set to produce over 2 MMT of staple food. All right, moving on to the final one this morning, which is Daily Global. I have this one that says Iran launches missiles at U.S. bases in Qatar, Iraq. Tinubu hands over ECOWAS leadership to Sierra Leone's Bio. Senate to hold public hearing on constitution review July 5. And of course, they are calling for the attention of the public to also assist in this constitution review, because it's not just about the government, it's also about the people. All right, thank you for staying with us. It's time to turn to my analyst this morning, Personal Samson Balogo. Good morning, my analyst.
Good morning to you. It's really nice to be here to talk about trendings and happenings on the pages of the newspaper. They are quite interesting ones this morning.
Of course, yes, we have a lot to talk about. Okay, let's take it from Vanguard. I have this one that says hunger, poverty, now security threats, and that's coming from NSA and CDS. And of course, I think I read it this morning on another paper that, porous borders, is actually part of this reason that we have, a lot of security threat. Look at what has been happening in the last few weeks in Benue, in Plateau, in Kaduna, in Kano, the explosion. What do you make of this? Do you really see, why do you think it's impossible to actually, tackle, the issue of hunger and poverty? And then do you think these are the only reasons we have? These are the only causes of security threat in Nigeria?
I think it's not, well, they are part of the reasons why we have such challenges in Nigeria. Okay. But it's not limited to that. It's a major problem. In fact, insecurity is a global crisis. It's not limited to just Nigeria. Just that they are more prevalent in some countries than the other. Now, if you look at how these insurgents, bandits are being recruited, you realize the fact that they are being promised things they feel they cannot get on their own. And that boils down to, it's not, when I said it's not just insecure, it's not just poverty or whatever it is they call it, but it also boils down to education. And education, I don't mean by being in the four walls of a classroom. It's about what happens within the mind of an average individual, a Nigerian. So it's very easy to actually brainwash a person who actually is not substance-filled. So when the person is not substance-filled, is quite empty from within, it's easy to actually dump things in them, and then they get convinced to do all these, commit all these heinous crimes. So the issue is, yes, our borders are porous, but we know where these borders are. We know the places where it will be very easy for insurgents, bandits to actually, cross into the country. And then nobody is doing anything about it. The problem now is we spend so much money on insecurity in Nigeria. How about getting drones that patrols all these, porous borders that we talk about? We have had countries that, at a point or the other, they were able to build fences. Even the United States of America built a fence between America and Mexico. It tells you that when you want to talk about insecurity, some people take it more serious than the other. I feel...
Do you think you have the resources to actually do all of those things that you mentioned, the drone, and then, you know...
You will be surprised Nigeria has more than enough to achieve, you know, what I'm talking about.
Okay,
see,
you mentioned United States now,
yeah,
and then you linked it to Mexico. So I want to ask you, why don't we look at, you know, making our intelligence team, the security personnel, to actually learn from these people, organize trainings for them?
You know, it's not just about training, it's about how we handle information too. Take, for example, Nigeria procures 2 or 3, 4 fighter jets. It's not your responsibility to tell the people what kind of fighter jets you got. It's your job to say, oh, we acquired this for this purpose. Now, they are not sleeping. The people who are actually fanning this flame of insecurity in the country, they are not sleeping too. So once you tell them this is what we have gotten, they are also preparing to get something that can actually work against what you actually purchased. So it's a problem. And I don't know how information gets out so quickly to bandits, insurgents, that they get to lay ambush against the Nigerian army. So
don't forget that even the intelligence team of this country, let's talk about the issue in Benue State. I mean, they actually got information that these people are coming.
Yes.
But they were unable to do anything. That's why I said security sometimes can be reactive. And it can also be, you know, it can be reactive in the sense that you can react to the threat that is already on guard, but we can be proactive as well. I mean, trying to put in a lot of things.
On this show that we do more of reacting in Nigeria than actually being proactive.
Exactly.
And it's a problem because it means that the incident would have happened, and then you are there and you'll be doing, oh, sorry, oh, we are going to do this. We should stop saying we are going to do this. We should start saying, oh, we have done this. So that's the difference between how it is being done in the Sena climbs. I'm not saying in those Sena climbs too, there are no security challenges. But what I'm saying is that it's just different. I think in Nigeria, people tend to benefit when things are going wrong in the country. Some people actually sitting somewhere, they benefit more when there is a problem, chaos, crisis in places. So
okay, can we say that even in this, you know, intelligence team, you know, the military personnel, we have like moves? Because I don't understand why, you know, just like you said, we have the information, but then we cannot make use of it, or it's not yielding any results.
There's no way you won't have moles in the Nigerian army.
Why is it difficult to fish them out?
It's not difficult, but nobody is doing it. See, you tell me why the federal government got a batch of, let's say, batches of repentant Boko Haram members, repentant bandits, repentant insurgents, as they will call it, and they say, oh, we have actually rehabilitated them.
They re-enrolled them.
You enroll them into probably schools, courses, and then integrate them into the Nigerian army. Who does that? See, it's only easy when you take this into consideration. You realize the fact that when a person has been brainwashed, especially into becoming a terrorist, if you have 10 of them, according to my own thinking, if you have 10 of them, I think you will only be able to convince 2 or 3 of them to say what you have been doing has been wrong. But the rest, it will be very difficult. Some of them will be sitting on the fence. They can easily, they can snap at any time and then return back to their old ways. Now, tell me if you have such people in the Nigerian army, they are about to embark on a mission and only a few of them know about the operation, and then how do you think that information is not going to get to those people who are waiting for them out there? That's how it's very easy for them to lay ambush against the Nigerian army.
And of course, so, I learned that, you know, some of these bandits actually, you know, surrender willingly. Why? Because they want to find their way into the Nigerian army, because they know at the end of the day, when they repent, there is a chance for them to be enrolled in the Nigerian army.
That's the point. See, sometimes these are deliberate. People sacrifice smaller things for the greater good. Now, it might not be greater good in the real sense of it when we talk about bandits, you know, surrendering just to get into the Nigerian army. But for them, they think, oh, let's sacrifice about 10 of us, surrender, maybe you get into the Nigerian army, then you can feed us with information. How do you think they overrun an army post without having adequate information? they know exactly how much ammunition they have at that post. So they know exactly what to bring to make sure that the army stands no chance.
They're
so it's a problem that needs to be solved. Now, if they are saying it is about poverty, I agree with them, but it's much more than that. Our borders are porous. Yes, we know our borders are porous because we are not, the borders are not fenced. And even when, see, now, if you say our borders are porous, you don't know how bandits and insurgents get into the country. Now, I'll leave it at that. But how do you get to arrest people who smuggle cars right into the country? It means that you know how to find them in these bushes. Then put some people there and let them do the job. So if Nigerians are not safe in their own country, it is one thing to travel to a different country and then they get to tell you, oh, there are security challenges here and there. You have to avoid this location, avoid that location. It's fine. But in your own country, and you are not even safe. So what are you benefiting from?
Speaking of that, in Sena Climes, when you enter some countries in this world, I mean, they have your record, they have your details, yes. And should anything happen, should you misbehave in that country, they know how to find you. As a matter of fact, it doesn't take the ball. In Nigeria, we lack data. I think we need to look at that aspect. We lack data.
Actually, it's a problem. I said it to someone a few days ago. An average Nigerian has about 4 or 5 means of identification, and none of them is functional. Now, you have a phone number, which means that you can be tracked down to an exact location with your phone number. If need be, if the government wants to find you, and if the security agencies want to find you, they know where to find you with just your phone number. That is one. Two, your phone number is connected to your BVN that has every information they can be looking for about you. It is connected to your NIN. That is two. Some of us, we have driver's license that contains our information. Some of us, we have the international passport, where before you get that, they will tell you to bring your BVN, bring your NIN, they get all kinds of information. It means that some Nigerians are properly documented. What happens to the rest?
I mean, just like you're saying, I think you're very spot on, because I think we have the brains to actually, make all of this happen. Because I've seen Nigerians that are even my friends, they are data analysts in a lot of big countries over there. So why is it difficult to actually employ some of these people?
It is the will to do it. It is the will to do it. See, there's nothing difficult in merging all these means of identification spread across with just turn it to something quite simple, social security number, one number for one person. Okay. They know that once that number is entered into a system, okay, they know if you have a driver's license. So if you are driving without a driver's license, they will know. They know if you have an international passport. They know if you are owing a financial institution. They will know if, see, there are so many things you can do with just one number.
Of course.
But it's, how has it become a difficult thing to do? Don't forget, till today, some Nigerians registered for the NIN, they have still not gotten their slips, including me. As I talk to you, I use virtual NIN, I have it on my phone. So some Nigerians have not been able to get it. Some Nigerians, till today, they have actually been trying to get an international passport. They are still there. If you go to gates now, you see them queuing. Some of them have been there 2-3 months.
Because of wrong information, they cannot even make use of the NIN.
They can't even, see, if there are too many bureaucracy in getting some things done, the process of getting it done becomes longer. The longer it becomes, the more the problem you are creating for the system itself that is not even strong. So the system is not strong, and we are creating more problem for the system.
I think we need to start tracking some of these workers even at these levels, because I mean some persons have complained bitterly about how they are being treated in terms of those locations where you get to register for NIN and the likes. We need to begin to look at those areas.
Let me cite an instance. If an institution that is well documented, a big firm, cannot track an employee because an employee committed, an atrocity, probably committed fraud. It cannot be tracked. Probably he's hiding in another state, and that's it. The police cannot find him. He threw away his SIM card, got another one. It's fine. How will an average business owner who probably just gets by on a daily basis, be able to track an employee that carted away, an amount of money? So it becomes a problem. So if an established institution that has the money to actually get an employee tracked cannot do it because somehow the bureaucracy is... See, let me cite an instance. When my home was burgled, a lot of things were taken away. I went to a police station, which I won't mention. You could not believe after reporting, I had to pay for the piece of paper with which my statement was written, and after that, I paid for it. And after that, I went there the next day, and the billing started. You are going to pay so amount of money for this. You are going to pay this for that. So I sat there and I was like, look, if this is all it's going to take for me to get my properties back, please let them have the properties. I don't need it anymore, because I cannot pay you to do what the government has told you to do for me. And the problem is, there's a police station very close to where I used to live, and I was robbed. So the problem is a systemic failure that really needs to be addressed. So it's intertwined somehow, and if you are going to sort this out, we are going to do them intermittently. You cannot fix the police force without fixing the judiciary arm of government. You cannot fix anything without making sure that every other person... See, someone was telling me that the police has to be restructured, this has to be done. Will you sack the 400,000 police officers we have in Nigeria? No.
A total overhaul of all of these, just like you said.
You have to change the system.
Even the mentality of Nigerians themselves.
And the government is doing too much.
A lot of persons, just speaking about the issue of poverty before we move to another thing, because I've seen cases whereby, people actually, decide to align themselves with this band because of what they are going to gain. Because, I mean, look at someone, that is finding it difficult to feed. I'm just trying to speak on the issue of hunger.
As bandits live in the bush,
they align with these people because of the money.
With food. Someone supplies them food, someone supplies them water.
And then we all come out to say, we need to reduce banditry and terrorism.
And such a person will come out and say, look, the government is not doing anything, there's insecurity everywhere. See, I said it earlier, it's a systemic failure, but then the people have contributed so much to insecurity in the country, including poverty. Now, what the people have to do is to make sure that there is what we call reorientation.
Okay.
As a person, you ask yourself, what I am doing, what effect is it going to have on me or the next generation?
Or the people close to you.
Or the people close to me. So the problem, if we can all change the attitude, an average Nigerian would want to take someone else's money and feel like that is grace. It's not grace. That's stealing by style. So it's sometimes you find money and eventually you know that, oh, this money should belong to so-so person. And you want to keep it.
Some people call it smartness.
You are not being smart.
And it's wrong.
You are just creating another problem for someone else. So what's the point in you want to enjoy, but you want to make someone else cry? It's a problem, and it's prevalent in Nigeria.
We need to begin to live right, and we should not put some things on the government, because there are some responsibilities, that we need to, take care of ourselves.
Someone, I think it was Chief of Defense Staff that said, look, you are harboring these criminals. They are marrying your children, yet they harm you. You are not saying anything. There's no way the government is going to know what's going on in your community unless you come out and say, oh, we are having this kind of issue. And sometimes when people report cases, they don't report honestly. So people, when they want to take an holistic approach, when they want to take an holistic approach to make sure that things are corrected, you realize the fact that you are applying the wrong medicine for the right sickness or something. So it just does not match up.
It's counterproductive.
So that's the problem.
Honestly, we need to begin to look at these areas, just like I always say this, it's a symbiotic thing. I mean, let's help the government, let the government also help the masses, and so we can have a reduction in the activities of, these bandits and terrorists. Okay, so talking about security, I have this headline on Salient Times that says, U.S. issues security alert, warns citizens to avoid military government facilities in Abuja. That headline has a rider that says, no security threat in Abuja. Nigeria replies US. I mean, looking at all of this that has been happening, I'm sure, the United States government is not deaf to a lot of these happenings. Talk about Benue. I read yesterday that an attack happened in Benue again. Look at that. Look at what happened in Plateau State. Look at the suicide bomber. Look at what happened in Kano, in Kaduna, the explosion. So do you think the U.S. is wrong to come out to talk about this? Because the Nigerian government is saying no security threat in Abuja. That's why I said one of the problems that we have in this country is trying to shy away from the truth. We like to save faces. But then, what do you make of these? What's the implication of these on the integrity and the cloth of Nigeria as a whole?
I think the U.S. is not wrong by saying some of the citizens should avoid some places in the country. We all know that when we talk about insecurity in the country, Nigeria is sitting firmly on a keg of gunpowder. It's only a matter of time before it becomes worse than this if, necessary actions are not taken. Now, the United States of America might have gotten a wind of an attack that might just happen, imminent attack. So by doing so, they want to warn every citizen who happens to be in Nigeria or around that particular location, say, look, don't go near so-so places because something might happen. That is the intel they have. They can't just come out and say that unless they have a quality intel they feel they can trust before coming out, because it is a bold claim to come out and say, it is as good as they are saying an attack is going to happen in that place.
Because when it comes to United States, they don't joke about intelligence.
It's an indirect attempt to say, look, there's going to be an attack in some places like this, so avoid them. But they don't want to say that. They are saying, oh, because of insecurity, you know, ravaging the country called Nigeria, avoid so places. So now they have an intel.
I also want to talk about something. Sorry to quote you, because I feel like the United States, they have everything, unlike Nigeria and other African countries, to actually protect even one U.S. citizen. But then they are coming out to say, stay away from this place, stay away from this area. What does that tell you?
It actually says a lot about how we handle things in Nigeria, especially how we handle security. Now, well, sometimes the government wouldn't want to come out and say it as it is because they wouldn't want to create panic or send fear down the spines of Nigerians on the streets. So they find a way to, you know, polish the whole scenario, but then on the backstage, they are trying to work around it to see what exactly they can do to make sure they nip it in the bud and it doesn't happen, being proactive. Now, if we are the proactive type in Nigeria, it means that there are so many things we can actually do even before this happens. But then the problem is we are always reacting to issues. And then we wait until they happen before we go ahead and say, oh, we want to douse the tension so that it will not happen again. We cannot continue to waste lives and properties thinking we are doing the right thing. We are not doing the right thing. America knows exactly what they are saying. They are trying to pass a message, and it will take the Nigerian government nothing to actually look at, take an holistic look at what exactly the Americans are saying and say, look, let's work against this so that it will not happen.
Do a research.
Do a research. Gather intelligence. Do what you are meant to do. See, security in the country is not rocket science. I've always said that. If you want to, I think it was General Sani Abacha that said, if insurgency in your country lasts beyond 24 hours, it means your government is complicit. He said that. So it means that it takes strong will to get things done, especially in a country like Nigeria, that you are going to find so many people on your way that will not want you to succeed in doing things. Now, as a governor, just know that the moment you become a governor, there are some people that don't want you to succeed just because they want to have a say when the election comes and say, look, he failed. If you are the president, some people are there, they just want to have the last laugh and say, we told you it was going to fail, so vote for our political party. Now, the idea of now playing politics with lives and properties of the people should actually stop. Because in the long run, you don't even know, it's just as good as throwing stones to a glass house. You don't even know who's in there. And of course, it might just be a family member. So if you enter a market and you throw stones, it might be your niece or your uncle somewhere that's going to be hit by the stone. So if we continue this way, it's only a matter of time before Nigeria, you know, kills itself from within. It's going to be an implosion. So an average Nigerian, I said it the other time, it's about reorientation. An average Nigerian does not even think Nigeria will be better. You will see I've seen a Nigerian that say, a Nigerian that said, Nigeria, you're Ledamo. And I was like, so if you as a Nigerian is saying this,
looking at the optics.
I mean,
okay. So
it's a problem and it's a systemic failure. The Americans know what they are saying.
And do you know what's funny? What's funny is if you recall, you know, the 1993 jingle, you know, some of the things that were said in that jingle, you know, no light, no this one, no transportation is high, this and that. If they were complaining bitterly then, look at what is happening now.
The thing is, I think comparing 80s, 90s to the millennium, 2000 to 2025, I think there has never been a time that an average Nigerian will say they enjoyed Nigeria. Because even at the time when they were saying, oh, Nigeria was great. Even at the time when they said Nigeria was good, they were complaining about one thing or the other. Okay,
what about when Nigeria experienced oil boom? A lot of things were working perfectly.
It was
and then if you check, because I don't know, I think I have some researcher friends, and then sometimes, you know, they go through some of the archives, and then you find newspaper of the 70s, you know, 72, 73, and then you see some comment of Nigerians. I think it's quite different from
when Nigeria had the grace of the oil boom, the oil windfall that time. There were plenty of money.
Of course.
But the issue of mismanagement came into play. Nigeria mismanaged the Nigerian fund. And
that's why we're here.
And that is why we're here. Now, see, an average Nigerian is entitled. They feel the government should do everything and anything. That is why you will see a Nigerian that will think the government should be responsible for packing their waste. No, you have to pay for it. In Senate claims, they pay. So if you can afford to actually eat, then when you have waste, you should be able to pay for them to be disposed. Now, what I'm trying to drive at is an average Nigerian is entitled. They feel, even as you have an uncle that feels like, oh, because you are now working, you have the money, it's your responsibility to actually send them some things sometimes. It is not meant to be so. Okay. And they are now transferred that to the government. Nigerians believe everything should be free or next to free.
Speaking on that, I think I read the story on the First Lady of this country. Yesterday, she was talking about the fact that our office, needs some, amount of resources to actually run the office and do some of the things that they have in plan. And then she mentioned that, she doesn't really believe when Nigeria say there's no money in the country because, when you watch how Nigerians party, when you watch the kind of parties that they throw, it talks about the fact that, there is actually money in this country. So I want to link it to an instance now. Do you think, Nigerians find it difficult to actually, live from this for themselves and do what is right without, pinning some things on the government?
I think the problem is people misplace priorities. It's misplacement of priorities sometimes. Yes, we've seen people party, and of course we know that there's money in Nigeria, but who are the people who has the money in Nigeria? What percentage of people have the money? There used to be a time when we have 3 or 4 classes of people in Nigeria. We have the rich, we have the average class, and of course we had the poor. Even the poor were not that poor then. They could easily afford. Now. They could easily afford, 2-3 square meals in a day, and they will be fine. People didn't want too much at the time. They just wanted to survive. So if you are able to survive being poor and you get to the average class, then you have a house, you have at least 1 car, you are fine. You don't have too much, but you can easily send your children to the average schools, not the most expensive ones, but at least they know you are going to good schools. In Ibadan, then you have some secondary schools that are government owned, but they are eyebrows. So if your children are not brilliant, if
your pocket is not heavy,
you cannot send your children to those schools. So that is the the framework at the time. Now coming back to 2025, as we stand now, we only have 2 classes of people. We have the elite 1% and we have the ever strongly 99%.
The rich and the poor.
The rich and the
There's
poor.
no middle anything.
So anyway. everyone, even people who have, I know of a cousin of mine that has 3 cars. He now goes around with a lady's bike. So he can only afford to buy fuel in his bike as we speak. So the problem is not just about being rich or being poor. The problem is the ideology of the government. How are they going to make sure that an average Nigerian does not become poorer and poor? So the problem now is that Nigerians are becoming poorer. But it boils down to the fact that we mismanaged what should have been what we'll call the national cake now a long time ago. See, things will not be on the same wave at all times. Sometimes it will be like that, and then the country is going through a phase. And this phase is where the government really has to come and say, look, what we have been spending, saying, oh, we have the money, let's just bring it together. But then, when this is happening, an average Nigerian will not ask questions from their governors. They will not ask questions from House of Representative members, House of Assembly members, or their local government chairman. They direct the blame to the president. Do you know that even when after the fuel subsidy was removed, most governors get, all governors, let me put it that way, all governors get about multiplied by 3 or 4 of their usual allocations. They are getting more money. But where is the money going? So some of them are just keeping silent. We just had recently, when the fuel subsidy had not been removed, nobody talked about renovating the government house for 63.5 billion. but it has been removed now, and the misplacement of priority has come to play.
Do you think that is happening? Do you think some of these state governors are actually venturing into some protests because they have more than enough?
Yes.
Because recall that the president actually increased their budget,
allocation.
The allocation.
Yes.
I mean, for every state.
Every
Do you
state.
think that has given some governors the liberty to say, okay, since we have excess, why don't we disburse it into these areas?
Even as an individual, let me cite this instance. Even as an individual, if you have more than enough, you tend to waste resources sometimes.
That's for someone who is not prudent.
It is
and you don't save for rainy days.
Until you realize, oh, I need to save this or save that. We are not asking the governor to start knocking doors of people and start giving them money. We are not asking the president to start. See, the idea of palliatives giving rights to people on the streets is wrong. There are so many other things you will do and make the country more a better place for people to live.
How many people have access to those palliatives?
I was at Mokola. Let me cite an instance when this whole issue of fuel subsidy was done and then palliative was to be distributed to people. I was at Mokola. I was just standing there and I realized a government bus was passing by, and then they were just dropping bags on the road.
And
for who?
People were running after them. I
was
in
exactly?
the market one time
for
and
who?
it happened. It happened like that.
You have gone to an area with about just 100 bags of the palliative you are talking about at the time, and then randomly you just picked people and you left. Who told you those are the people that needed it? So that's the problem. We don't have database. You don't even know who deserves to be given palliative or not.
I was even scared for those people because the way they ran after those guys that were sharing.
Do you know some people got injured during, and they didn't even get the palliative?
It was a good sight.
They got injured. The palliative they were running after,
they did not get the palliative.
So it became double loss for them.
Honestly, let's talk about, before we actually wrap up this, let's talk about resources, because I spoke about the fact that the First Lady, said, our office is in need of, resources to actually, carry out, our plans and activities. And she's asking for, some amount of money. She said, even if it's 500 million rather, or maybe 1 billion, do you think, look at Nigeria, just, do a short survey, look at Nigeria, and do you think you have the capacity to actually, fund, the office of the First Lady? Because, she said, some of the money, if you notice in the news, she donates, to people, to the widows. She has been doing this and that. And then she said she has been able to get, money from, well-meaning Nigerians who donate to her office. Because, constitutionally, there's no provision for that.
The question is, you ask the First Lady when she was elected into the office of the First Lady.
Okay.
So the moment she can answer that question, then she deserves every fund she requires to actually foot the bill in that office. See, I told you, there are so many pockets of spaces where resources get wasted in the country, and that is one of it. The First Lady has pet projects, and you ask yourself these questions. Is it even necessary?
Do we even have the money to fund the office?
That's what I'm saying. Is it necessary for us to actually, set aside an amount of money for the office of the First Lady, which the Constitution does not even recognize in the first place? So it's one of the systemic failures.
But she mentioned something. She said, during the military regime, I think that place was created, and then the office, I think
she donates to people, but we have the Ministry of Women Affairs.
And then she
said,
what
exactly are they doing there?
Honestly, and then she said that if the military guys can actually make some provisions for their wives, it shows that they were interested in taking care of their wives. So why should we not have something like that in a democratic system of government? Why can she not get funds?
You see, all that should be channeled to the Ministry of Women Affairs. If you want to, be connected in one way or the other to the Ministry of Women Affairs, I think that should be sorted out on the floor of the House and say, the office of the First Lady will take care of this ministry.
She didn't mention she would take it to, the Senate.
We have seen situations where a president said, look, I'm going to be the Federal Minister of Petroleum, and that is it. So if constitutionally too, there is a room that says the First Lady can actually take charge of the Ministry of Women Affairs, and she wants to take care of women in Nigeria. I think that it should be done. But going through all this process of saying, look, we want more money, we want money for the pet project of the First Lady, I think it is totally wrong, and the Constitution does not even support it.
Exactly. But then I don't know. She said she's going to take it to the Senate and then, seek help from there. So we don't know. Maybe in the next few weeks, I mean, there might be a
the story will
provision.
definitely develop.
Of course. All right, Samson Balogun, thank you for being, a part of this morning. Thank you for staying with us as well. And of course, we still have quite a number of things lined up for you. The big story is coming up, and Samson Balogun is waiting. My name is Oluwayemi Adela, and I'm saying good morning once again.
Good morning, Ibadan. You are tuned in to Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your #1 station for impactful stories and thought-provoking conversations. All right, welcome to The Big Story, where we don't just scratch the surface, we dig deep into the issues that shape our city, our people, and our everyday lives. Today, we turn our focus to a very real urban struggle, the excesses of house agents in Ibadan. From arbitrary charges to shady deals and from false promises to stressful house hunting experience, residents continue to bear the brunt of a system that seems unchecked. I am Samson Balogun, and of course, I welcome you to this edition. Ibadan is expanding, and so is house demand. With that comes a struggle in agents who often operate without regulations, oversight, or empathy. The process of finding a place to live has become a journey filled with unnecessary hurdles, fake listings, multiple inspection fees, last-minute price changes, and in some cases, outright fraud. But what exactly is fueling these excesses? Is it a failure of policy, enforcement, or simply greed unchecked? Today on The Big Story, we speak to affected people. Of course, we are going to take comments, legal minds, and housing stakeholders who we have in the studio this morning as we ask who protects the house seeker in Ibadan and what can be done to sanitize this sector. Good morning once again. Samson Balogun is my name. Of course, I have with me in the studio Real Estate Developer Association of Nigeria, REDAN. Of course, he's a member. His name is Oladipupo Abiodun Hakim. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, Mr. Balogun.
All right. There is a burning issue when it comes to finding accommodation in Ibadan. Agents have become lords on their own. They dictate the play. In fact, sometimes they advise the landlord how much to lease a property. How do you make sense of the current situation, the carnage in the real estate world in Ibadan?
Firstly, good morning, Nigerian. Yeah, referring to your questions, the first problem we have is the regulatory system. If there is no regulatory system, things like this will continue to occur. There is no way an agent will advise a landlord. There are so many landlords that they will tell you that their social amount they wanted to put their houses on let. Most time we do advise them, few of them do listing. But if you wanted to elect an individual who struggled hard to build his own personal house, what will you talk about the government? Have you been to the Oyo State Housing Corporation Board? Have you been asked about their houses? How much do they put it on let? The Odua investment are there. These are where the problem comes from. The government will first set up a regulatory body. After that, the government owns apartments will come lesser. Then it will affect the masses. It will affect the public. It will affect the personal individual who wanted to build a house and give it out for 5 million. Where your so-called standard of 3-bedroom with the government is 1.5. You can't put your own for 5 million where you see the lesser one of 1.5. Let me give you an instance. In London, I live in council flat in London. I've once lived in council flat in Barking in London. A council flat in London then is £200 per month. £200 per month. Individual flat, just a room, a flat of 3-bedroom is £700. Can you now consider £200 to £700? Government have to come in fully. Government have to come in fully. There is no way. We have 3 associations in Nigeria today, if you don't know. REDAN, Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria. Nigerian Institute of Estate Survey and Valuer, and the Estate Rent and Commission, ECAN. These 3 bodies cannot do it all alone. We need government intervention. There is no way an association can do it. It is government. Everybody is a potential criminal, you know. So it is government that will curb you that this is, if you can't move beyond this boundary. If government curb you and this is set a goal line like this, how you pass, this, nobody will move beyond that boundary.
You belong to REDAN.
Yes, sir.
You are a member.
Yes, sir.
You are part of them.
Of course, sir.
What exactly is REDAN doing?
We have been trying all our best. Trying all our best.
Your members, they have been raping the people of Ibadan.
No, not our member. You don't understand. We do hold meeting times to time, and we do give instruction and pass this instruction to your fellow member. We have zone by zone in let me, for instance, in Oyo State here, every zone is being headed by one man or the other. You head this zone, you head this zone. If anything comes from that zone, we hold the person responsible. I went on an interview in one popular radio station in Ibadan. One agent defrauded someone. And they said, I said, is he a real member? They said, they cannot know. Because you cannot even identify where they belong to. No regulatory body, nothing. And a mechanic will just tell you you have started an estate agent's job. A barber will do it. Dry cleaner will do it. Who do you want to hold responsible? Where do they belong to?
Now, the idea of multiple inspection fees, where did you get that from?
Yeah, actually, because I don't collect inspection fee does not mean that money is illegal. It's legal. We give the instruction.
I've seen cases,
Yeah.
before you comment further, I've seen cases of an estate agent in Ibadan collected inspection fee, took them to a building that really, even he knows that that person was not going to pay for that particular apartment, eventually called someone, said that person was also going to get inspection fee, and like that until about 4 people got inspection fee one single day.
It doesn't work that way. This is how it goes. If a client comes, we give the instruction that they must collect inspection fee, truly. Because if an agent should go out with you, spend the whole day with you, without renting that apartment, what would he tell his family at home? How would he feed his family at home? But this is the guide. There is guideline on it. If a client wanted to rent an apartment, make the video, picture, send it to the person. If the person is not satisfied with the video and picture, well, if he decided to have physical inspection, then he will pay for inspection fee. That's how it goes. That it doesn't mean because I don't collect inspection fee, that doesn't mean that money is illegal. No, it's not.
Now, let me ask you this question. Is there a formal structure or licensing system in place for your members in Ibadan and Oyo State at large?
Yes. Yes. And you can see. So we have our member registered, and we know each and every one of our member offices and area where they are. If any of our reader member committed any crime and you reported the person is in trouble. Firstly, we will first cover it up, refund the money, then we withdraw the certificate.
Some people have accused your agents of
not our agents.
Fake listings.
No, not our agents.
Houses that are non-existent.
No. You say agents, not our agents.
Okay, agents.
Yeah, it can happen like that. Like now, we have platform generally in Oyo State. Everybody is there. Nigerian Institute of Excellence of Evaluation members are there. We are there. Accounts are there. Even one who is not even registered, they buy barbing salon, they dry cleaner, they were there. We have association, we have platform, we operate. So if anybody committed a crime or an offense, once you refer it to us, we will look for the person, track it down, and hand it over to the police.
Now, with the current trend, how do you intend to control this, that we will not have more agency than structures in Ibadan?
Yeah, it is government that will do. I submitted few months ago, maybe around March or April. I submitted one proposal to Oyo State Housing Corporation concerning this regulatory body, because a lot of people. I went for a program on the radio program. If you see how people causing, winning causes on agents, in fact, I was highly embarrassed that day. So when I came back, I just summoned meeting straight. We all have to assemble. Tomorrow morning we all have to meet. Then we assemble each other. I said, how can we curb this thing? Everybody comes up with idea. Then I submitted a proposal to Oyo State Housing Corporation. To the chairman of the Motor, we submitted the proposal. This is the copy of the proposal here. That government needs to come in to our aid. If not, it won't affect the government, people in power. It is the masses. And the duty of government is to protect life and properties of their masses, their citizens. So if all these things will hit and knock somebody, say it is going to be the masses.
What are the requisites, the requirements of admitting a member into RIDAN Of course, I want to ask you, do you just, accept any member as they come?
No, we
Has
don't.
there been a time where you said, look, you cannot be a member of Redan?
Yeah, we don't accept anybody anyhow. Firstly, your qualifications. Secondly, you have to register. You fill form. We do verifications, background check, whether you have any past criminal activities. Then, if there's nothing like that, then we grant you our certificate. Then, after that, we grant you that SIC. This is SIC. So that every transaction you made, there will be SIC there. This SIC has serial number. That serial number will make the association to track it down wherever you are.
Okay, now, if you are saying qualifications, what are the qualifications you are talking about?
Minimum
To be a member of Redan?
Minimum of HND.
Minimum of HND?
ND, sorry.
ND?
Yeah.
And then, if he has ND, maybe in computer science, he can be an house agent.
Yes, if you have ND in computers.
Are there any form of trainings you conduct for these people?
Yeah, we just wanted to start training because, like now,
You have not trained anyone?
We don't train, but for now we have started. We've started training. It is when you join, we organize a seminar. It is through that seminar we train people that this is how we do. This is how we do. Then when you come to your zone where you belong to, the executive there will train you and give you guidelines on how. We have brochure. We give you how to guide you, how you can operate.
Now, aside from the seal you give to your registered members,
Yeah.
Are there other ways you track rogue agents?
No, it's not our duty to track rogue agents.
Do you report them to any of the authorities?
As far as they are not our member, we cannot track. Like I said,
if you claim your association is clean and then you have nothing to hide, if other agents are doing what is wrong, do you report them to any authority?
Yeah. If other agents are doing what is wrong, and once they reported to us, we got the person information. Like now, there's one on my phone presently. They sent it to me the day before yesterday. Then it's from Ojo Zone. I send it to one of our members there who's heading that Ojo Zone. I send it to him there. Track this person out. We'll arrest him, track the person. Even if the person is not in Oyo State, we'll make sure we give them the perfect information of where the person is. So once we get the person, we hand it over to the police. And like around April, the EFCC Economic Financial Crimes and Commission write a letter that they should come with us. We should partner with them, that they should organize a seminar on how to operate. That is we. It can't be we all alone. It is going to be government. All this regulatory body, it is government job, not we.
Okay, now, do you have any public platform for public consumption? I'm coming. There are products I want to buy on social media, on the internet, where I can always look for the name of the vendor, verify if they are genuine. Do people have access to checking if agents are genuine before they even pay them at all?
Yeah, we've organized seminar like that. We've organized so many programs to orientate the masses that if you wanted to rent or buy a property, make sure, the first thing you need to do is inspect the property, then try and look for the owner of the property. The agent who introduced the property to you should take you to the property owner. And if he said he have 100% authority to give it out without the consent of the landlord, that the landlord has given him a power of attorney, fine, go to his office. You cannot pay on the road. You cannot say, okay, madam, do transfer, we will give you. No. Go to his office to make payments, then collect your receipt.
Now, let's go to the big issue, the issue of commissions. You pile up, 30% of this, 20% of that, and then all of a sudden, what you are taking as commission is almost the same amount as the rent, or even more in some cases. How do you calculate all this? That the problem that people are facing is that you say you want 30% of this for agreement, 30%. What is the lay down, the due process that an average Nigerian should be looking out for when it comes to renting an apartment in Ibadan?
That is why you have to go to a registered agent to transact business with. That is why you need. There is verification everywhere.
People want to know.
Yeah.
How did you come about the caution fee,
agreement,
and the percentages? How did you come about it?
I will explain everything. You see, I won't speak on behalf of Redan all alone. I will say Redan, Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, and HECANS. We have guidelines. If you are a professional in this, there is guideline that will guide you on what to do.
Take us through the guidelines.
Yeah, if you want to rent an apartment, if the let's instance the apartment is 500,000, the caution fee, refundable caution fee goes to the landlord. That is 10%. It is the landlord who will hold the caution fee. Once the tenant is moving out to that property and nothing spoiled, it is refundable. That's why we call it refundable caution fee.
Caution fee. Okay. Wow.
Agreement. It's not the duty of an agent to do an agreement for. It's a lawyer that will do agreement. So it is 10%. That 10% goes to the lawyer who will do the agreement for you. Then 10% agency fee. So if you now see an agent who told that 30% commission, 30%, no, they are not registered agents. They don't even know. They don't even have an idea about the job. Most of them just see it as means of surviving. So once they see one client, they will just pile up all their debt and everything, put it on that client, and that is wrong.
Okay, so aside from caution, agreements, and there is no other commission to be paid?
No other commission, except if the houses have service charge. That service charge means we are a security in the house, cleaning of the compound, waste bin, or community security, or lights. And that service charge will be determined by the landlord, not the agent.
Now, someone sent me something yesterday that prompted me to say, look, I'm going to ask you this when you come around. There is something really, I won't say it's funny here, because it actually got this person angry. It says, rent is 1.8 million. A live-alone, stand-alone building. Agreement is 180,000, as you said, 10%.
Yes.
Commission 180,000, damages 180,000, service charge 180,000. Welcome to the estate, 35,000 naira. It was sent to a friend of mine. That's why I'm asking you this. Now, gateman fee 100,000 naira, estate security 84,000 naira. So payment to landlord will now be 2,739,000.
Maybe his analysis it might be wrong, but what happened? He said estate security 100,000. Welcome to the estate means it's going to fill form in the estate. Every estate here in Oyo State has one rules and
modus operandi, how they do things.
Yeah, it's quite different from each other. It's like now in Oyo Estate, if you wanted to come in, you only pay for security fee and development fee of 15,000. So every estate have their own rules and regulations. So I can't say much about that. I don't even know where the house is, so I can't even say much about it. But the basic commission is 10% caution, 10% agreement, and 10% agency fee. That's all.
So do you think the Oyo State government is doing enough to regulate housing struggles in Oyo State?
I don't think they know we are existing at all. The problem facing the Oyo State government is even more than the housing, and which our own supposed to be part of it, because we are closer to the masses than them. Every blessed day, one people move from where to the other, and they pass through an agent. Even in the area where you yourself stay, you can't know a vacant apartment there. You won't know. If an apartment is vacant at the back of your house, you won't know. It's an agent that will know. So definitely you will pass through an agent to get to what you want. We are a bridge between the landlord and the prospective tenant. So if government fails to set up a regulatory committee to regulate the system, things like this will be continuing to happen. There is no way.
I mentioned earlier that agents advise landlords on how much to charge for an apartment. Do you also do it at Redan?
Yes. Most times they call us. So this is newly like a house I manage.
And how do you come about these prices?
Yeah, we know the structure of house. We know what with what. When we see a structure of a house, we know what we want. It's standard of how we determine how much it's going to go for.
So, and you are not sure that your commission depends on how much a house is, put out for let. So,
our commission.
For example, a house is worth 300,000, you get 10%. That's 30,000. But you can easily advise the landlord to take it out to 500,000, so you can get 50,000.
My own family might be looking for that house to each. We affect my own family too. We do. I swear to Almighty God, we do try a lot concerning this landlord though. There is a house I manage at Oluyole Estate. The house is 1.5. So the landlady stay in Canada. So she now called me one day, Biadun, your money let you want only, so let me do 3 million. Look at 100% increment. I just think, So those landlords too, they do communicate. They do advise themselves wrongly, which is wrong. A house of 1.5, you now coming to increase it to 3 million. I did not even say anything. 2 days later, I called madam. That it can't be so. That is 100% increment. It's not. He said, if you cannot rent it out for 3 million, tell your tenant to vacate, and I will look for another agent. And she did so. I leave the property for her, and she give it to another agent.
Now, there are insinuations that as agent, you deliberately increase rent so that your tenants will vacate the structure, you bring a new tenant, and you'll be able to get fresh commission.
That is not true. Because as an agent, you are managing a property. There is a commission for, apart from the first rent, that you collect 10%. Also, the management fee commission is 10% as well. So if another tenant is coming in, the 10% we will get is what we will get. The landlord pays you 10% on every rent every year. So why do we need to chase out a tenant before we bring another person? Why do we need to do that?
So how do you deal with landlords who have also become agents on their home?
Yes, thank God. I'm glad you asked that question. There, it's your own property. We cannot dictate to you. Our own advice is minimal. Once we advise you to do so and you refuse, as for me, I leave the property for them. I can count like 4 or 5 that I've just dropped the property. There is a landlady that do collect 30% on her own. She will be the one that will collect caution fee, legal fee, agency fee. He said, I'm a banker. I can manage my property myself. So if the landlady collect 30%, what do you expect from an agent? We had our own 10%, making 40%. And mostly, this 30% I'm talking about, if it is direct property, that is what is going to be 30%. If another agent should bring you down to my office, he also will add his own 10% to it to make 40%. Because it's not possible for me to give him out of my own 10%.
Okay. Now, let's talk about roles of government in the regulation of house struggles in Ibadan. What do you think the government can actually put in place? Let's talk about a structure that will stand the test of time. And how do you think rogue agents can actually be put where they belong?
Yeah, thank you. I said earlier that when I grant an interview on one popular radio station in Ibadan here, the calls that comes in, I'm seriously embarrassed. They are raining calls on agents on that program. So I summoned a meeting immediately, which everybody comes up with idea. We gather up so many ideas. I will now put it up together. We submitted the proposal to Oyo State Housing Corporation Board, because that is the best avenue to reach the government, because we are not comfortable with that. Today, an agent did this, tomorrow, so no, we all are affected. They won't just say it is one agent that this. No, they all put that bad names on every one of us. So we need to clean up ourselves. So we submitted a proposal to Oyo State Housing Corporation how to regulate the system. We submitted.
And did you get a response?
Yeah, I met the chairman on Ibudemola Omotosho. So I submitted the proposal to him. He said he's going to get back to me, because we want it to be regulated as well. We want it to be regulated. We are not happy with all this. If you see this one, you say, I was scammed by an agent. What is the name? So where is the registration unit? They don't.
Okay, now let me ask you this. The current state of housing market in Ibadan, is there a shortage or is just a poor distribution?
I can say there is poor distribution. That is it. That is the only thing. There is poor distribution. There is no shortage in anything housing. Really investment.
You mean there are enough structures in Ibadan to accommodate everyone?
Of course. But it's poor management. There are poor management. You can go to so many estates. If you see then, if government should come to this place, it's going to be like small London. But poor management. You just go to that place, it's very, 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 very poor. Poor management. We have so many properties, so many estates that can be assisted by the government to develop, but no way.
So how can middle-income earners get affordable housing in Oyo State?
Yeah. they can get it is through the government.
Without falling into the trap of fraudulent agents.
Yeah,
because there are some offers that are too good to be true, and that's how some people get duped, especially those ones who actually track for structures on social media.
That's why I said if you wanted to rent an apartment, go for a physical inspection, meet the landlord. If you want to pay directly to the landlord. And if the agent said the landlord gave him or her 100% approval to operate, go to his office and make payment. You can't go to someone's office to make payment and give you receipt and dupe you. No way. That's not possible. And if such thing happen, you know where to that's 50%. That has assisted you 50% to track him down.
Now, should agents be responsible for informing tenants about legality and status of the property?
Yes. Agents should be informed about it. It is agent duty that's supposed to do that. Because it is we that do communicate to them time to time. Even if they have complaint, they do call on us. So we will go there. We related to them better than even the landlord.
All right. When it comes to documentation of tenants, sometimes you realize you bring every thumb, dick, and harry into structures, and you don't get to track them. I've seen a situation where fraudsters were actually given an apartment in a particular estate, and eventually they had to be sent packing. Now, how do you do your documentation that you make sure that people don't get to lie to you about what they do for a living before you actually give them an apartment? Do you do your background checks?
That was what I said. If you belong to
I'm talking about tenants now.
Yeah, that's what.
How do you screen your tenants?
That was what I said. If you belong to any of these three associations, there is guideline. Before you can't just jump into this big business without guideline. They will give you guideline and orientate you. If you want to rent an apartment, if you want to rent an apartment for a tenant, it will be free form. You must collect his ID card of where he's working and make background check. You make calls to the place. Then give him a guarantor form. You fill the guarantor, we collect the ID card of the guarantor and passport. So it should, in case anything happen. If anything happen, you hold the guarantor responsible. You can't just give house to anybody. And if there is problem, it is you that will face the problem. Last year, last year? Yeah, last year, some of our members went for an inspection in a place. So that same day, armed robber came to that area to rob. So they were arrested. They were taken to prison. Then the CP, last year? Last year, the CP now called us, do you all have ID cards? We said, actually, we only have, we don't. I said, no. Make official ID card for each and every one of your members. Once they have an ID card, situation like this, we were able to identify who is the real estate consultant to none. Make everybody register each and every member. And if they are going to anywhere, you should be informed. Should in case. So you can't just jump into this business without guideline. But most of them who operate without guideline, without everything, do things anyhow. If you belong to any of these associations, there is no way you can operate without guideline. No way. Because there is guideline already.
Okay, we want to talk about how Nigerians or residents of Ibadan get evicted from their structures they currently live. Is it the responsibility of you as an agent to issue quit notice to a tenant?
If a lawyer or an agent issue quit notice to a tenant, the law will recognize it.
An agent?
Yes. If you go to the court of law, the law will recognize it. As far as you use your letter heading, you have a registered company, you have letter heading, and you issue quit notice. If you go to the court of law will recognize your quit notice. Whether a lawyer issue it or you, an agent issue it, the court of law will recognize. As far as you meet up with the duration of what the law said. The minimum of 3 months and the maximum of 6 months notice to your tenant.
Now, there is a case I want to talk about when your tenants decide to leave an apartment even when their rent is not due yet. Sometimes they find it difficult to get a refund. What exactly is the problem? They have decided to go to another place to get a new apartment, but you are still probably owing them 6 months rent when they left, and it has been rented out.
No.
So why won't you pay back?
No. You see, most tenants, immediately they leave an apartment, they will request for their money immediately. No, you are still occupying that place until we see a new tenant. If you leave, your rent's supposed to expire by December. You leave by April. If I don't see any new tenant, I won't give you your money. There's no way they can refund you. You can't expect an agent to bring out money from his own pocket and refund the money to you. We are still occupying that apartment until new tenants comes in. That was when they will calculate the refund, they will give it back to you. There's no way you can leave an apartment and they won't refund your money after they let it out. No way. If such thing happens, just report to us. We take it up. I have like 2 or 3 that were taking it. I'm handling presently at Oluyole local government. I was there last week. A tenant left an apartment, so immediately that same day, someone paid. The agent did not refund the money. So that man now just coming on phone that, sir, I pick your number out from a radio station. So. I say, where? He said, Oluyole. Then I drive down there. Where is the agent? I said, what qualifies you to be an agent? That's what the first question I asked. I said, what qualifies you to be an agent? He said, Ogawa. He said, no, this is not about Ogawa or not. You rented an apartment, you don't want to refund it. He said, you didn't chase him out. If you don't chase him out and he move out willingly, why won't you refund his money to him? I collected that money that day. That those people who do that, they are not registered. They are not trained. They are not well trained.
Okay, if I pay for an apartment today,
yeah,
and I have not moved in, and by evening I think I want a new structure, I don't want that again. Will I get a full refund?
You can't get a full refund.
Why?
Yes, good. An agent has done and delivered your job for you. The job is delivered. It is you that said you don't want again. On one condition: if they have not yet to hand over the key to you, you get a full refund. But if they have handed over the key to you, you can't get full refund. That 10% their commission will be deducted from the money.
Okay, now, what do you think the government can do to help Ridan and other associations to restructure and, of course, put them where they belong?
Yeah, there is a lot government needs to do. Firstly, everybody needs to register. Apart from being an association, you need to register your job under the government. It will even hand government revenue. It's even another source of revenue for the government. Because everybody will pass through that. They only need to set up a regulatory committee body. So if you wanted to operate, this is the guideline. If you wanted to operate in your state, this is the procedure. If you wanted to operate, this is the procedure. Everybody will register. And if they will collect your, we have so many, NIN is there, everything, they collect your information and register it. Should in case anything happen, they will just type your information and track it down wherever you are.
All right, thank you for joining me on the show this morning. Oladipúpọ̀ Abiodun Hakeem is a member of Real Estate Developer Association of Nigeria, REDAN. Of course, he has been my guest on the show this morning. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, sir.
We do hope that next time we'll have a more robust conversation as regards restructuring in that area. All right, and that wraps up the big story for today. If you have ever paid to inspect a house and never saw the agent again, or been asked to pay commission before even seeking a key, well, you know the issue hits home, literally. The conversation doesn't end here. Let's continue to challenge the status quo and demand better systems that protect people and, of course, both tenants and the landlords. Join us again next time on Daybreak Live for another edition of The Big Story, where we raise the questions others are afraid to ask. Samson Balogun is my name, saying thank you for watching. And remember, change begins when we speak up. Up next is Daybreak Sports with Boluwaji Ogunmola. Of course, all right, we go on a short break now. And when we return, this show continues. It is still Daybreak Live on the Benin Television. Don't forget, we have a lot to unpack on this show. We still have a Trend Watch to come with Yemi Adelakun. We'll be back after this time out. All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Of course, this show continues. Don't forget you can keep the conversation going by linking up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It is at Dominion Broadcast. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Drop your comment there. We'll surely take them. It is at Dominion Broadcast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Of course, that is where you will find us. You can drop your comments there too. Of course, we're going to take them. Now we are straight to trends on social media, and that's what we do on this segment of the show. We bring you trends, you know, happenings on social media, and there's quite a lot to talk about this morning. Yemi?
Baby bells. Okay, let's start with the first story. We have this one that says, actor Kenneth Okoli celebrates his wife as she turns 40, reveals they're expecting a baby.
I mean, that's quite interesting.
Of course.
Congratulations to the Okolis.
Are you going to send, you know, baby diaper, baby gift?
Why should I do that?
Do that.
I'm going to wish them, you know, congratulations.
Do you know, when they say that when you do good to people, it has a way of coming back?
No, that's enough gift, you know. When you say congratulations to people, it means that you deeply meant it, you mean it, and of course, that's even sometimes more than material things.
Don't try that with me. All right, so we wish him well. And of course, I mean, looking at, you know, the great thing he has been doing is an actor, as a mover. I think I got to know about Kenneth, and I heard that he won, you know, the 2010, you know, male, you know, pageant, and the Mr. Nigeria.
Mr. Nigeria.
Of course, and he came second in the, you know, Mr. Award, you know, pageant as well. And ever since then, he's been doing well for himself. And of course, we appreciate what he's doing with his family, and we wish him well.
It's a good one, at least to see someone like him, you know, succeeding in all ways. So,
exactly.
I mean, that's success too.
All right, let's look at another story that we have here. It says that media personality Simi Dre receives a boat from her husband as a push gift.
Wow.
I like that one.
Interesting. You know, honestly, this reminds me of Lai Wasabi's comment recently that says he's more of a sponsor kind of guy, so he doesn't want to go through the stress of...
Should we expect things like this from Lai?
I mean, we should be expecting something like this from Lai Wasabi too.
Lai is joking, Lai I know. Lai is just joking.
So I think it is quite interesting to see people going all out, you know, showing their affection to their partners, especially when it comes to the area of gifts. Gifting is not a gift that everyone has. You understand, right? So gifting is not a gift that everyone...
Have you considered writing poems?
So it's more like that. Some people tend to show their affections through other means. They could be the ones that are all over you saying I love you at all times.
They're caring. They might not be able to give you gifts and that, but then they're so caring.
So if you are the type that really show your affection by, you know, really showing it, you know,
which
just
party
showing
do you belong
it.
to? Because you are so intentional about this conversation.
So because sometimes people get pushed aside, pushed back a little bit just because they cannot afford what they see on social media. See, social media...
Do not be pressured. I mean, I've seen videos whereby, I mean, the husband, you know, gave his wife maybe a car, maybe a land gift, or maybe a new bag, or maybe a pair of slippers. I mean, it could be anything.
It could be anything.
Appreciate him for what he can do now.
It's the mindset.
Exactly.
It's the spirit that actually matters. So regardless of the worth of the gift you are getting, the fact that you are even getting one in the first place says a lot. Now, I'm not saying...
He has the mindset to give.
I'm not saying that someone has the ability of buying you a phone and now buys you something.
I mean, as a wife, you
less.
know what your husband can do to an extent.
So you understand that.
And of course, I feel like looking at this story, I think this lady gave birth last year, around November last year, and then she said she just, you know, teased, you know, her husband.
I joked about not getting a push present, and this man got me a boat.
Maybe he has been
an actual
for
boat.
it.
I mean, it's not toy. It's not the one you buy on social media. I mean, you buy through what I ordered versus what I got. So it's actually boat. So still not over it. Still speechless. This was the most, I mean, unforgettable gift I never knew I needed.
I think he was preparing for that boat gift.
Until she got it.
Honestly, and
you know, there are things you don't even know you need until you eventually have them. You'll be like, oh.
I'm very sure she was surprised because, I mean, I think she said he just called her to come to a certain place and then she saw the boat.
Yeah. And then, okay, now let's take the comments. Let's take some comments. As Pastor_Shahama says, the pressure is getting worse.
Honestly,
it's not worse.
Because a lot of girls will be like, wait, this lady, does she have 2 heads?
The
if
pressure,
she can get a boat.
This is how they say, the pressure is getting worse.
If she can get a boat, why can't I get a boat too?
I mean, well, we'll see more of giftings these days.
Of course, I mean, this
and
is like
the funny thing is Valentine is still far away. Next year.
We see father.
Okay,
but of course, a lot of people will still give it.
Yeah, of course.
Let's look at the second comment from Costa. Yeah, this person said, we still did talk about vehicles. Some people never even see Okada. They get boat.
I mean,
just
boat,
like I said. I mean, because, I think, I don't know who started the old car thing for push gift online. And then because of that, the pressure
became a trend.
The pressure got,
and the pressure became worse.
It became, worse and then the life, because the normal thing that as a matter of fact, some people don't know what is called push gifts.
Yeah, they don't.
Honestly,
some don't.
People that are not familiar with social media, when they hear push gift, they
I think
wonder what's push gift.
If you are not a social media addict, I think you don't know what God has done for you. You should just stick to being you. I mean,
seriously,
because you don't get pressured. You don't get to say things that will put you in a bad state of mind.
But is pressure related to social media alone? I mean, you can be pressured even when you step out.
See, but you get oppressed more when you see things you know you cannot afford on social media, and then they can, when it dawns on you that, oh, look, this thing is happening and I can't.
But don't be deceived. We've seen cases whereby celebrities will take a picture with a car, and then we get to hear that this person is not the owner. So don't be pressured about anything.
There are fake pressures out there too. So.
And there are real ones.
Okay, I think that's it on the show this morning. We say very big thank you to everyone that has been a part of this show so far. It is still Daybreak Live right here at Dominion Television. On this dial, we've got a lot to unpack today. So keep it locked on this dial. Stay glued to your phone, stay glued to your TV set. I'm sure, and of course, I promise you, you are not going to regret any bit of your time spent on this dial. So as we go today, I say, keep being good, keep being safe out there. Samson Balogun is my name. So join us again tomorrow.
All right, thank you for being a part of the program this morning. Join us same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And of course, we have quite a number of things to discuss tomorrow. And before I go, I want to say, please do not feel pressured. Enjoy what you have, appreciate it, and work towards, getting more.
No pressure.
And on that note, my name is Oluwayemi Adelako. I'm saying good morning.